Chairperson, the established protocol is observed. People of South Africa, Minister and Deputy Minister, you have earned my respect today. Most of your colleagues, after they've spoken in the House, they leave because they're rushing somewhere. And you are still here, you are seated and listening to the debate. I respect you for that. Chairperson, on November 18, 2024, the Premier and the Chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, writes, and I quote, "This morning, together with the Provincial Secretary, started at the Pretoria High Court sitting at the Benoni Magistrate Court to hear why the apartheid regime killed one of our outstanding student leaders of our time, Caiphus Nyoka. Caiphus Nyoka was killed for his activism against apartheid policies in 1987. At the time, the student activist was a member of Congress of South African Students, the South African Youth Congress, an organizer for Transvaal Student Congress in the East Rand, as well as the president of Student Representative Council at Maibuya High School, close quote. Chair, I dedicate today's debate to the undying revolutionary spirit of Comrade Caiphus Nyoka. The primary goal of land reform were to reduce poverty, boost agricultural growth and development, and address historical injustices and land dispossession, establish an atmosphere of sound land management, and distribute land fairly among our people. Government have encountered some difficulties in providing our citizens with access to land, and the agricultural sector has been recognized as one area in which we can contribute to improve our food security. Government is dedicated to giving South African farmers priority when buying land, rather than gentrifying agricultural land. We also need to address the issue of our people using agricultural land for residential purposes. Negative effects on land disposition in South Africa included the majority being forced to live on the most unproductive land, unequal distribution of land ownership that favored minority racial group, disruption of indigenous people, social and economic system with regard to land use, sharecropping and other slave-like forms from farm owners. The idea that this accumulation through dispossession has a negative overall impact on the development and typically erodes the condition of successful development is hard to dispute. The fundamental idea is that South African land tenure system should promote effective land use while simultaneously eliminating long-standing disparities and unequal opportunities. The department's commitment to sustainable land reform, the goal is to identify and carry out strategic land reform interventions, acquire strategically located land, recapitalize failing projects, and develop ongoing and upcoming projects. The second danger is that the land that belongs to one sphere may be sold by another without legitimate sphere's knowledge, although the custodian must confirm the land vetting before it can be dispossessed of. Transactions have occasionally proceeded with this confirmation have it not taken place. The political and economic circumstances of apartheid are still very clearly reflected in the patterns of land ownership and development today. Black people experience poverty, landlessness, and insecurity as a result of racist land policies, which also led to ineffective land use and administration in both urban and rural settings. Land policy needs to address the following issues, Chair, in order to be successful. The need to administer public land in an effective manner, the need to record and register all rights in properties, the injustice of racially based land dispossession, the equitable distribution of land ownership, the need for security for tenure, the need for sustainable use of land, the need for rapid release of land for development, to redress the injustices of apartheid, to foster national reconciliation and stability, and lastly, to underpin economic growth and to improve household welfare and alleviate poverty. In order to expedite the land redistribution process, acquire land in nodal areas and other areas with high agricultural potential, enhance the process of identifying and selecting beneficiaries, plan land on which people could be settled, and guarantee that acquired land is used productively. The Act gives the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development the authority to buy land. Land reform is more than just social transfer in which government provides generous funding to citizens who benefit. It is and ought to be viewed as promoting service delivery through this process. Through the acquisition of targeted 115,000 hectares of strategically located land, of which 50% is to be allocated to 50% to be allocated to women, 40% will go to agricultural development and equitable land redistribution. In order to designate specific land, control its subdivision and the habitation of individuals on it, and provide for the land must be acquired, maintained, planned, developed, improved, and dispossessed. Chair, Ms. Mantsing Grasalekola from Johannesburg says to me on this topic, and I quote, "In the process of acceleration, it is important not only focus on redistribution of land to traditional leaders in rural communities. The inclusiveness should shift from being just about Black people, but rural women in particular. African women were known to be farmers in villages, previously fed families in the absence of men, with well-managed system utilizing limited resources. African tradition of women farming lands that they can never get to own should be challenged, and prioritizing distributing the land to these women who work on it," close quote. Over the course of the MTF, the entity plans to create and implement electronic disregistration system driven by Electronic Disregistration Systems Act of 2019. The lack of seed banks, low household production, drought and flooding, ecological condition that typically results in irregular insufficient rainfall are all issues that government is willing to address in order to help farmers meet the necessary demand in the market. We must make investment in sustainable agriculture by putting into practice farming methods that are socially acceptable, technically feasible, and economically feasible, environmentally not degrading, and allow for the conservation of land, water, plant, and animal genetic resources. Chair, the issue of rent and the rent collection is still very low, even after the Department of Agriculture offered discounts and farmer support programs in an attempt to collect rent under lease agreements signed in accordance with the state land lease and disposal policy. To make sure that the reliable lease management system is in place, the department is currently reviewing its procedure and policies. In the same issue, Chair, Mr. Lisiba Mpia of Eguruleni says, and I quote, "Our nation has witnessed profound inequality stemming from historical oppression, characterized by forced displacement of individuals from their ancestral lands. This has led to resistance wars, such as the Bambata Rebellion in the early 1900s. To combat the triple challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality, land redistribution policies offer a viable solutions, specifically addressing poverty alleviation and enhancing citizen economic participation. It's a fact that less than 3% of productive or arable land over the last 10 years has been transferred to the majority of our people is proof enough that there is hardly any progress, and that more than 80% of productive land in this country is still in the hands of about 44,000 white individual farmers and corporate entities. Support for SMME in farming and agriculture can't be done without redistributing land and not to support those that get it. They end up selling it back to those that sold to them, close quote. Through a variety of land reform program products, the strategy for settlement development assistance on land reform projects has changed. They have not been sufficiently integrated with other government programs, which has limited their efficiency and efficiency. The economic gains for those who have benefited from land reform initiatives have been minimal. Inadequate state support is one of the many factors that have limited agricultural productivity. And that is why Mr. Selocha Mapito from the Val says that accelerating land distribution and agricultural development for inclusive growth must resonate with the following 6 issues that he has raised, and I quote them. 1, create conditions for inclusive growth. 2, ensure that the rights of all South Africans are strengthened. 3, promote equitable land redistribution. 4, improve the process of identifying and selecting beneficiaries. 5, ensure that acquired land is used productively. And last, mitigate and prevent the outbreak of diseases among livestock and products, close quote. Chair, in closing, it has been said that you can take a donkey to the well or the river, but you can't force it to drink. That statement is very true. When you take into consideration how many times we've been standing here and trying to persuade members of the opposition to up the ante on the quality of the debates, that clearly shows that you can't force or because they don't want to heed the call. Remember that when the debates are lost, insults becomes the loser's tool. So in this instance, Member Majol, next time when you want to debate here, make sure that you consult with Member Mokoena for clear and clarity-seeking questions. Because you stood here and you could not even read your own speech. I was wondering if you wrote your own speech. You need to familiarize yourself with proper meaning of the word hectare. Because you can't stand here and tell us that since 1994 to 2023, only 8 hectares has been allocated to our people. Because Member Mokoena will tell you that, for instance, a CPA of Ditabeng in the Kwakwa area has claimed and received much more than 8 hectares. And that did not happen between 1994 to 2003. But you see, Chair, when you sing for your supper, but Olabi Posh, when you sing for your supper, you will sound exactly like the delegate from the Western Cape. Honorable Farmer stands here and raises serious matters. And everyone who has spoken here and telling us about how beautiful the DA is doing in the Western Cape, none of them dare contested what Member Farmer was saying. That, for me, Chair, it's an issue. Here in the Western Cape, people of Philippi, people of Mfuleni, people of Manenberg can't roam the streets freely during the day because they know Ngasuga no money. But you are told here that the Western Cape is the best, to a point of it being compared to Gauteng. Imagine that, a province of almost 16 million people being compared to a province of only those that matters. It cannot be correct. Member Chirwa, me and you can agree that you still owe the community of Alexandra a school. 5 years down the line, you still owe the Alexandra community a school. Member Krike, you can't build one school, yet you dream of running the country. It's not going to be happen, that one. And by the way, Chair, Member Dlamini said I must not do this. I wanted to tell you who is leaving from the EFF in the next 2 weeks, but she says I must not do that. Because I have been standing here and I've been telling you, every time I stand there, I've been telling you, look what's going to happen in the EFF. Look what's going to happen in the EFF. Oh, Hambilu, Member Mcing. Hambil, Member Mcing, oh, Hambil. Rike, I'll tell them when is your time. Today I will keep quiet. Member Mokoena, I believe in you and I believe in your capacity. And therefore I request you, when you come here,
Honorable Honorable is rising. On what are you rising, Honorable? Throw.
All of it.
Throw.
Chairperson, can I ask the colleague if he will take a question, please?
He says he can take the question.
Thank you. Can you, honorable member, can you tell us, were you part of the ANC when President Zuma was president of the ANC and of the country? Thank you so much.
Over to you, Honorable.
Chairperson, without fear or favor, I was 18 years old in 1998 when I joined the ANC. And I'm the youngest branch chairperson of the ANC where I come from. So from 1998, as I stand here today, I've been in the ANC. Member Mokoena, I believe in you and I believe in your capacity. I work with you in the same select committee. I've seen what you are capable of. Please, for the sake of the country, come and correct your mistakes. When you come back and stand here, the following 3, you need to correct them. 1, tell the people who's the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development. come here and tell the people who's the minister. Two, tell them who was the president of South
Point of
Africa
order,
between
Chair.
2009 and 2018. Lastly, what was the land distribution percentage between 2009 and 2018? So that when you blame the ANC for inability to do certain things, you are able to be honest in your thinking. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.